Good evening. Welcome to the virtual public open house for the downtown Cambridge truck diversion study. My name is Cornel Mucci, and I would like to introduce the other members of the panel. Next slide, please. We have here Hanan Wahib. She's the senior engineer and she's the project manager for this project. You have already met Mary Jo. We have Mike Henderson, the manager of program development from the region, and we also have Shannon Noonan, the manager of transportation engineering from the city of Cambridge. Next slide, please. We will have a presentation about 20 slides, and Hanan and I will be giving that presentation. This project has a very long history. It actually goes back to 1965, and we will summarize it very briefly. We'll talk about the two alternative outcomes of this study. First one is don't change anything alternative, and the other alternative is to remove trucks from downtown core of Cambridge. Then we talk about this assignment, which is very challenging. Moving goods and services by trucks is part of the economy, and the function of the regional road network is to generally facilitate truck movements. Removing trucks from one street means adding them to another. So the question really is how to redistribute trucks on the network so that there is the least overall impact. And the main impacts are on residents, of course, along the road network, on the overall downtown environment, and on the truckers as well. And finally, there were a number of concerns when McQueen-Shaver Boulevard opened. The McQueen-Shaver Boulevard project manager has been dealing with most of those. Our focus tonight is on the main implications of the truck diversion on the alternative routes. However, we will also spend some time on the noise mitigation requirements. Next slide, please. The first report that talks about the implementation of a ring road was the traffic planning report done in 1965. This report envisioned 3 new freeways around Cambridge. On the west side, which is the dotted yellow line, on the south side, and it was meant to be built by 1985. That's the white solid line at the bottom. And one on the east side to be built by post 1985, and that's the dotted line on the right-hand side. As I will explain in a minute, not only did the dates of implementation change by a few years, actually decades, the scope of the ring road also changed over time. Next slide. A number of studies followed the 1965 traffic planning report. They had refinements, but continued to include the ring road concept until 2004. The 2004 detailed transportation network review introduced a no bridge option. As we understand today, this was the result of public opposition to the new road on the west side and opposition to the bridge. And those two pieces would form the west side of the ring road, and they were taken out from the ring road concept. The new truncated ring road or bypass kept the new roadway on the south side and on the east side. Next slide. Late 2020, the region got an explicit request from the City of Cambridge Council to consider removing trucks from the downtown core as the new McQueen-Shaver Boulevard was nearing completion. And the new road opened in the fall of 2021. Next. So one of the big questions is that why divert trucks from the downtown? And I mean, we can say that a vibrant and successful downtown and heavy trucks are actually not compatible. The constrained downtown streets are not designed for concentrated movement of heavy trucks or car traffic. There are frequent signals, the curb and curbside activities, sidewalks are at the edge of the roadway, and there's very little or no buffer space. There is noise and air pollution in a very narrow corridor with little potential for dispersion. And of course, there are safety concerns, especially for pedestrians and cyclists. So in summary, the incompatibility of pedestrian-oriented land use and truck traffic movement hampers the development of downtown into a much more successful place. And at this point, I would ask Hanan to continue with the presentation. Next slide.
Thank you, Cornel. The project team, consisting of staff from the region of Waterloo and staff from the city of Cambridge, looked at two alternatives. Alternative A is to do nothing, where no change to the existing condition would happen, and through trucks would continue to be allowed to drive through the downtown on Ensley and Water Streets. Alternative B is to divert trucks that are passing through the downtown streets to other routes such as McWayne-Shaver Boulevard, Franklin Boulevard, Concession Street, and Dundas Streets. And just to be clear in here, the trucks that are making deliveries in the downtown area would continue to be allowed in this alternative. Next slide, please. So what the considerations we looked at when we had those two alternatives as a response to the City of Cambridge request to investigate the possibility of diverting trucks from the downtown core, an origin destination study was completed to understand a few points. Among them is how many trucks are currently using the downtown streets, how many trucks are passing only and could be diverted, how many trucks would remain in the downtown for deliveries, where trucks would be diverted, what is the impact of the diversion on the traffic operations, such as what is the number of the trucks in various corridors, and what is the impact on the travel time for diverted trucks. The diverted trucks could be, the route could be longer, so how the travel time would be impacted by the diversion. Other consideration staff looked at is the impact of the diversion on the adjacent environment, such as the noise level. What is the noise level? How the noise level would change on the major diversion routes, and the major diversion routes in here are like McWayne-Shaver Boulevard and Franklin Boulevard. So those are the considerations that we wanted to look at before we, assess the alternatives. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, thank you. So the origin destination study concluded that approximately 1,600 trucks are traveling through the downtown core on Water and Ensley streets every day. Approximately 62% of the 1,600 trucks could be diverted. And this number is between 1,000 and 1,150 trucks per day. And approximately 38% of the 1,600 trucks would remain in the downtown core for local deliveries. And those would continue to be allowed in the downtown area, if the diversion is approved. And the number of these trucks would be between 450 and 600 trucks per day. Next slide, please. In this slide, we have a map that shows alternative B, where we would like to show the restricted routes, the plan to restrict routes, and the diversion routes. So the red solid line is the restricted routes, where it extends on Water Street from Ainsley and Water Street South intersection, going north until Dundas and Water Street intersection. And on Ensley Street, it extends from Concession Street going north until Dundas and Water Street. So those are the two routes that would be restricted for through trucks. And the major diverted routes would be McQueen-Shaver Boulevard, where every trucks coming from south going to the north would take McQueen-Shaver. So this is a major one. And after that, eventually we'll take Franklin Boulevard. So Franklin and McQueen-Shaver are the major diversion routes. And we would have Concession and Dundas Street. Also, we are considering them as diversion routes because they would take some of the trucks coming from the west to the east and going to the north after that, or coming from south going to the west of Hospital Road area on Coronation Boulevard. Next slide, please. In this slide, we are trying to show what is the current total trucks per day on those routes, the restricted and the potential diversion routes. And on the other map, we would show the number of the trucks on those routes with the diversion. If the diversion is approved, what is the number of the trucks that would see on those restricted and diversion routes. So on the map on the left shows the current total trucks per day. And as you can see in the map, we have already in the downtown core on Water Street and on Ensley Street, approximately 1,350 trucks per day. On Concession Street, we have 740 trucks per day. On McQueen-Shaver Boulevard, we have 250 trucks per day. And on Franklin Boulevard, south of Dundas Street, we have 550 trucks per day. And on Dundas Street, west of Franklin Boulevard, we have 620 trucks per day. On the map on the right side shows the number of the trucks with the diversion. If the diversion is approved, the number of the trucks in the downtown core would be reduced to 600, around 600 trucks per day. And it would increase on Concession Street to 800, from 740 to 800 trucks per day. And on McQueen-Shaver to 1,000 trucks per day. And on Franklin Boulevard, south of Dundas Street, 1,250 per day. And on Dundas Street, west of Franklin, it will increase from 620 trucks per day to 700 trucks per day. Next slide, please. The impact on the travel time. In this slide, we are trying to see how the travel time of the trucks would be impacted if the diversion is approved. We looked at the origin destination of the trucks traveling through the downtown, and we estimated that the travel time won't change for almost 22% of the diverted trucks. And travel time may increase up to 5 minutes for 67% of the diverted trucks. Travel time may increase up to 10 minutes for only 11% of the diverted trucks. So those kind of an estimate of how the travel time would be impacted. So as you can see, most of the diverted trucks, which is around 67%, would have an impact between 0 and 5 minutes, which is not very significant. Please, next slide. In this slide, we are trying to describe the environment of walking, cycling, and driving in the downtown area and on the diversion routes. We have 3 examples, like the photo on the left, the most left, showing the downtown area, and the one in the middle showing McQueen-Shaver Boulevard, and the one on the right showing Main and Concession Street. So in the downtown area, you can see, as you can see, you know that mostly we have narrow sidewalk with minimum to no boulevard, and we have no cycling facilities, and we have large number of trucks driving on the driving lanes in the downtown area. While on the alternative routes on McQueen-Shaver Boulevard and Franklin Boulevard, we have already multi-use trails, and we have wide boulevard there, and it's I mean, the lanes are wide enough for you know, trucks, cars, and everything. On Dundas Street, we have on-road bike lane and we have sidewalk. While on Concession Street and Main Street, also we have mostly narrow sidewalk with minimum to no boulevard and no bike lane. So this is just a kind of a description of the environment on the three, or like on the downtown core and on the diversion routes. Next slide, please. In this slide, we are trying to show all the aspects, or most of the aspects related to each alternative. So for example, alternative do nothing, where if we don't do anything, we will have minimum increase in truck volumes on other potential diversion routes like McQueen-Shaver, Franklin, and other routes. And noise wall wouldn't be warranted on McQueen-Shaver under the natural diversion. When what we mean by natural diversion is what is happening right now without banning trucks from going through downtown. There are some trucks are already taking McQueen-Shaver. So if they keep taking McQueen-Shaver without banning trucks in the downtown area, noise wall wouldn't be warranted. So other aspects related to do nothing is no impact also on truck travel times. The trucks will continue to use the same routes, and they will not have any impacts on the travel time. On the other hand, impacts on the residents and businesses in the downtown Cambridge would be continue, as you know, the traffic congestion would continue to be experienced in the downtown area. Also, we will have minimum to no opportunity to make downtown Cambridge more friendly pedestrian and cyclist and people friendly environment. Next slide, please. Alternative B with a diversion and this you know, alternative. With this alternative, we would be supporting the long-term vision of the City of Cambridge Transportation Master Plan and Cambridge Council BIA direction. There will be an opportunity to revitalize the downtown environment. There will be an opportunity to improve the design of the streets that would accommodate all road users, including pedestrian and cyclists in the downtown area. On the other hand, additional trucks would be on McQueen-Shaver Boulevard and Franklin and other routes. Impacts on residents and businesses along the diverted routes would be also experienced. A noise wall with approximate cost of 4 million would be warranted on portions of McQueen-Shaver Boulevard. Also impacts on the truck travel time, as we explained in previous slide. There will be some impacts on truck travel times in this alternative. Next slide, please. I will, Cornell, would you please jump in?
Yes. So one of the main concerns is that the noise levels will go up if some of the trucks traveling today on Ainsley and Water are diverted to McQueen-Shaver Boulevard. And although the opening of McQueen-Shaver Boulevard significantly changed the landscape and increased the noise levels compared to the levels before the road was opened, without the truck diversion, the noise levels do not meet the policy threshold for erecting noise barriers. There are many other roads in the region which have higher traffic and truck volumes and do not have noise barriers, since they do not meet the policy thresholds for noise walls. We have also estimated that if alternative B is implemented, which would divert about 60% of the truck traffic, the noise would reach the threshold for parts of McQueen-Shaver Boulevard and Franklin Boulevard. This practically means that the diversion of some of the trucks from the downtown core needs to be combined with the construction of noise barriers, and such it has a cost implication. My colleagues have done a preliminary cost estimate, and it would be around 4 million to construct the noise barriers. So this is a high-level estimate. Work is still ongoing on the analysis and design of the required noise attenuation measures. Next slide. We would like to hear from you. I mean, you have an opportunity today to ask questions. And also, if you want to ask questions, please fill and want to provide comments, please fill in the online comment sheet. It is up, open for comments, and we'd like to close it on the 19th of December so that we have some time to process the information. You can also contact Hanan. You have her email and phone number, and that information is also on the Engage WR website. Next slide. Next steps, we will review the feedback from this meeting and all other public input and from the written comments that you sent to us. We will complete the noise study, and as I said, we are working on some design tasks. And staff recommendation to Regional Council is expected in the first part of 2023. And with that, the presentation is finished, and we are happy to take your questions.